Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for always returning. Thank you so much for your show of love. Thank you so much for all that you do for this community to keep growing. Hope you're well in all your ways, Your Majesties, and you're loving yourself and others like always. All right, today I would want us to go back to history a bit. All right, yeah, because that's what we do best here. So, I came across something and I felt like it's worth sharing with you. And it's all about us, the melanated people, those of African descent. Now, I think I've been saying it here, I've been bringing it up here. There are a lot of evidences I've been bringing here, like different people sharing their opinions, different people talking facts, all right, here about how those of African descent have been the originals to the land. They are originals to the earth. And it's not just something we say, it's not rhetoricism or whatever. It's the truth, is fact, is reality. Now, there was a time, there was a time where things began to change. Those who should be melanated became white all of a sudden. History became white all of a sudden. There was nothing that point back to the melanated person, to those of African descent anymore, because gradually they decided to start pulling us out of history. All right, this is like you going to a village and telling those who own the land to get out, like you force them out and then you decide to occupy the land. This is exactly what started happening. I hope you understand. Because pictures that are of African descent, those who are of African descent, gradually you look at the features, they are not African anymore. They do these things gradually, and with time, it is whitewashed. Like with time, there is nothing of us anymore that is in history. I saw this and I felt like, why not we deliberate on it?
Let's see what was actually going on in Europe. It's a gentleman called Saint Maurice. Saint Maurice was part of the Theban Egyptian legions of the Roman army. He became a saint in Christendom. These are carvings of Saint Maurice, or paintings of Saint Maurice rather, from 16th century Germany. Next slide. Again, next slide. Different saint. Saint Elesban, who was said to be an ancient Ethiopian king that had fought against Jewish people on behalf of Christendom. This particular picture of him is from Portugal, from the 1750s. Next slide. This is the giant, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but I presume it's Yasur. This is from France, and this is commemorating the battle with William of Orange in the 13th century. And this is still there in the town in France where it was painted. Again, it gives us food for thought. Next slide. But this is where it gets slightly controversial and problematic. We have these images, over 100 of them, across Europe, of Madonna and Jesus depicted. Well, it speaks for itself really, doesn't it? Now, the shame of history is this. There's a fantastic blog online called Medieval POC, which deals with the role of people of color in the medieval world. You should all follow them. They're enlightening. I've learned so much from their blog. They're on Twitter and they're on Tumblr. But one of the things they pointed out to me, I can't remember which one of these Madonnas it was, but there's one that's in Poland, a really famous one. And it was restored a couple of years ago. What do you think they did during the restoration? Yeah, they painted it white. So can you see how you can be robbed of history and not even know? Noses come off, black Madonnas go white, and no one explains why. Now, if you put into an internet search engine, Isis and Horus, you might have some idea where the inspiration for this statue came from.
All right, you saw that. That is a shame of history. And the truth is, when it comes to sacred pictures, pictures we see as holy pictures, from the beginning, what comes to mind is it has to be of a white descent, of a European descent, permit me, of a European descent. No, it can't be of an African descent. It can't be of the melanated, because when you talk about the creator, you talk about all these pictures, all these persons, they have to be of European descent. And this is where it becomes tricky. All right, it becomes what do you call this? Controversial, because what we have today, even as a Bible, are the scrolls that were gotten from Al-Qibla. It was scrolls that were gotten from here that later on, later, many years later, were put together and called the Bible. What we know as the Bible today was not, has never been a single book. There were books collected from here and there, all right, collected from different scrolls. All right. Now, some of these books are even incomplete. So when you get hold of the scroll itself, you discover that they just picked what they could pick. They picked what resonate with them. They picked what they can easily use to control those they wanted to come control. All right. These are what they did. So the main thing. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, it's not complete, but I use it and the creator speak to me. I'm happy. Miracle happens from it. Your majesties is your belief. And I keep saying this, that our belief has a lot to do with who we are and what we come across or what happens to us. Is your belief, is the faith that you have. You get the point. Now, when you talk about the church, especially the Vatican, there's a lot of secrets in the Vatican that Your Majesties, there are a lot of secret hidden beneath the Vatican. That it's only the spirits that knows. Because we don't see beyond, we don't get it. But we know that there are lots of secrets there. Now when you talk about all these pictures, they are all in the archives of the Vatican. But these pictures wouldn't be brought out, it wouldn't be let out. It was here I shared with you the clip where Pope Francis was kneeling before the Black Madonna. Now, you kneel before a black image. I'm sorry, I'm using that word. You kneel before a melanated image of the mother of Yeshua. Now, why do you deprive people of kneeling before the same very image you knew before? What happened? Why was the color changed? If color do not matter, no, we're not talking about color. We are not. We're talking about reality, Your Majesties. If it wasn't important, why is it that some group of persons, these are people who are top, up, and you're kneeling before a melanated image, you deprive people of the truth. There are lots and lots of Alkebalans that still feel, that will argue with you to the end and tell you that there is no melanated image of Yeshua or of the mother. But we have a lot of them in Europe, hiding beneath some buildings. I don't know if we get where we're going to. Now look at the saints, those who were called saints that were brought up. The pictures of these persons. These are melanated people. Look at their hair, how short their hair. These are features of melanated people. So where are those pictures today? Where are those pictures today? Where are those images today? Where are those sculptures today? And this is it. These things are done right before us, and you will be given a reason why you shouldn't say anything. Because the moment you start talking, you'll be tagged as someone who is against other people. But that is not it. Because the more we keep sitting and being convenient with what the mainstream media give to us, the more we'll live blindly. We'll never know the truth. Because that is, of course, what they want. And they keep diverting, keep tapping from our consciousness. They are becoming who they want to be, living their heaven on earth. But they keep making us feel like we are nothing. As if nothing good can come out of us, Your Majesties. You remember that professor I brought here who was talking about how the African man is the number one in the world?
Black. Now, in your homes, the pictures of God that you have is what color? Be honest, tell the truth and shame the white man. What color are the pictures on the wall in your homes? White. And what color then is the devil? So if I kill all of you, I'd have fought the devil, won't I? Is that not, doesn't it make sense? If I am a Christian, and they say onward Christian soldiers, if I am a soldier of Christ, my job is to fight the devil. What does the devil look like? Isn't it black? When you go in a military college, the sabao, when you are learning how to shoot, the target practice is what kind of head? It's a black head. So it is no wonder that black people hate themselves. Because every time you see God, you are not thinking of your sister or your mother or your uncle. You are not thinking of Kiurankuba as looking like God. No. You are thinking that somebody else, not you, looks like God, and you look like the devil. And most of the time, if I look like the devil, I am told I'm a devil, then I act like a devil. I don't want to disappoint people. People thinking that, I'm a wonderful person. They've called me a devil. Let me try to live up to the part. That's what psychology says. But I'm here to tell you today, number one, that when God created the world, there were no white people at all. There were no Chinese. There were no Indians. There were no Italians, no Romans, no Germans, no Poles, no Finns, no Swedes, no Goths, no Vandals, no Visigoths, no Vikings. There were only black people. Only black people. They were probably at the time darker than you. So, if you read any sacred text and it says that you are created in the image of God and in the likeness of God, it means God is what color? Black. And anytime anybody gives you a God who doesn't look like you, you give him that God back. You say, you know what? Yeah, your God looks okay, but just take him. Because at the dawn of time, there were no other people on earth but us. None. And the most interesting story is that story unfolded around this river that passes through your district. The Nile. That is where humanity began. To the extent that UNESCO, United Nations Educational Scientific Committee Organization, in volume 2, chapter 1, it says, as a result of the work of Professor Like and other subsequent work, it leads us to conclude that more than 150,000 years ago, beings morphologically identical with the man of today were living in the area of the Great Lakes, at the foothills of the mountains of the moon, at the source of the Nile, in the land of the gods, and nowhere else. UNESCO, nowhere else. Humanity went through 5 stages. The first stages are known as Australopithecine, black. Where were they living? Where you are living. How old? How long ago? 5.5 million years ago. Who was living in Europe at that time? No one. Who was living in Asia at that time? No one. Who was living in America North? None. America South? None. Bismarck Archipelago? No one. Australia? Tonga? None. Haiti? Fiji? Samoa? Who was living there? No one. Humanity was only here. 3.5 million years ago, Homo habilis. Where was he living? Here. Was he living elsewhere? No. 1.5 million years. Humanity at the stage of Homo erectus, the African that walks upright. Where is he living? Here. He lives here to populate the world. He passes through the Gulf of Eden, avoids Saudi Arabia, crosses into India. And then he goes through Kenya, Mijikenda, Tayar in Australia, and populates all the islands in between. Avoids Israel, avoids Jordan, avoids Syria. He also discovers fire. Then 150,000 years, modern man, known as Homo sapien. Homo sapien. The oldest Homo sapien, the bones discovered in Omo Valley in Ethiopia and Kenya. He started where? Here. Then he moves with his feet and his cows, mobile food, and his language, articulated symbolic language, and his brain, a bigger cranium, and he populates Europe. He is the first person to populate Europe about 40,000 years ago, known as Gromoldi. The first people to populate Europe were black people. They were known as Gromordi. First people to populate England were black people. They were known as Bika. First people to populate India were black people. They were known as Dravidians. First people to populate Japan, black people. They were known as Masaba Negroes. Mulembe, Kamaku, Wagasile, they came from here. They populated Japan. That's why Japanese names are like Ugandan names. Takahara, Nakamura, Kato, Toyota, all those. Because the first Japanese were black people. In ancient time, the whole world belonged to the black man, the black woman. You are the people that populated the world. You are the people that gave birth to everybody else. And quite significantly, and I am telling you this as a scholar, I have a library of 32,000 books. I have read each one of them, not only read them, but remember them. I have traveled in almost every corner of the world, lectured at the most prestigious universities. I am telling you that in ancient time, the only people who are on earth were you and your ancestors. You. And you are also the people of the scriptures. All scripture, be it the Rig Veda, the Namapali, the Peramperu, the Papyrus of Ani, the Papyrus of Hunefa, the Quran, the Bible, the Book of Zoroaster, the Epic of Gilgamesh, is all about black people. Black people.
All right, Your Majesties, what do you think? Leave your comment on the there section, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive always. Bye for now.